Welcome, everybody, this evening to Retro Repair Roundup, the video podcast where we discuss all things relating to repairable microcomputers. Your hosts tonight are Joe Snyder of Joe's Computer Museum. We got Rudy Panigas of Rudy's Retro Intel, Javier Rivera of Adventures in Retro Computing, and we also have Ron McAdams of Ron's Computer Videos. However,
hello, I'm Ron.
Ron couldn't be here tonight due to a last-minute family event, so we are emulating him like we'd like to emulate some of our old machines. But he may be able to drop in later. We shall see. Also joining us tonight for our inaugural stream is Steve, also known as Mac84. Thanks for stopping by, Steve, and we are super happy to have you drop in.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm sure we are going to get up to a whole bunch of no good, so it's going to be great. We also want to thank everyone watching tonight who stopped by, who may catch the stream later in the future. While you're here, make sure you lasso that like button and hit the subscribe button so you'll be kept up to date on our future episodes. So to start off, we're going to introduce, again, a little bit more our special guest, Steve. Steve, why don't you tell everybody who's watching who may not know who you are, who the heck you are, and why you might even be here?
I don't know. I was roped into this. The puns are going to keep on coming.
Roped into this. Great. Good job.
I repair a bunch of vintage Macintosh stuff. I grew up using primarily Macintosh machines, so it's something that has always been ingrained into my head, for better or worse. And I started my YouTube channel in 2017 when I thought I wanted to do some historical videos about Apple stuff and about repairs and things that interested me. I'm a big video game and electronics geek, so some of that stuff is featured on the channel as well. And I take logic boards like these and I recap them and make them work again. Unless it's Ron's, then that really throws me through the loop. But yeah, it's my channel's sort of known for crazy long live streams where I forget what time it is and we'll just go for 8.5 hours because yeah. And but I really like to do retrospective and historical videos, about Macintosh clones or about odd hardware and upgrades and stuff like that. So I really enjoy doing those types of videos, although those take a lot more time than just hitting the button and going live and look like a crazy person, as all of us know. But that's really my spiel here. I think that all of the people that I watch, including a lot of you folks here and in the chat, are always inspiring me to try different things and tinker around with stuff. There's so many smart people in this community that it's so awesome and so welcoming that whenever I have a question about something or I can't get something to work, I'm just like flooded with like, oh, did you try this? You try that? You try this? And that's sort of what keeps me going. So. Yeah,
cool. And I think those two major points that you brought up there are two of the great reasons why we wanted you on tonight. One, because you are so good at repairing these old Macs and keeping them up and running. And I think your videos are proof of that. And anybody who's here who doesn't know who Steve is, go subscribe to his channel and check out his stuff. But also the fact that by being able to have this information out there and share it with the community, and share also not only our successes but our failures, allows us to learn and allows people who are watching us to learn from our failures, so they don't have to actually break the thing to fix the thing. And I think that that's a really good point.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of also.
Oh, sorry. It's just one of those things, I didn't just miraculously know all this stuff. I learned from a lot of people, from my friends at the Mac84 podcast, from Bruce's repairs and stuff like that, one way to do this or one way to fix this or fix that or whatever. It's not just me. I did this all by myself. No, if I didn't have the help and support of my friends and other people, I wouldn't be anywhere. Sure. So.
Absolutely. So a little bit about our podcast, vidcast, whatever the heck you want to call it, our little YouTube special space where we all go nuts together. This was kind of started as Rudy's idea. Rudy also has a channel on YouTube's here called Rudy's Retro Intel. Is that we wanted to get together and share some of our experiences repairing all these old computers, tips, tricks, tools we've used, ways to focus on specific types of things. Say, I don't know, preserving old ROMs or backing up floppy disks or anything and everything in relation to that to keep these machines running. And he's like, we should put together a podcast or something to do that. And so that's where we are. So first off, I think I want to just ask everybody who's watching right now, throw it in the chat there. What do you think about our broadcast time tonight? I've had a couple of comments outside of the broadcast tonight saying, I don't know, that's a weird time. We may switch the time. I don't know. We chose the time specifically so we wouldn't be running into Steve or Bruce or Mac84 or any of those other major streamers out there. But, you know, whatever it is, we'll work around that. I
thought we picked this time so Ron could be here.
Oh, that's right. You know, that is right. We made that compromise.
No, Ron.
And then
Come on, Ron.
And
Come
then
on.
it just, you know, it didn't work out, but that's fine. We have to, you know, see, there's this old joke we had in my repair shop of a guy who went on vacation. His name was Tim. We put up a picture of him at the repair bench and said, if you have any complaints, complain to Tim. He's not here to defend himself. So anyway, some people are saying slightly later would be okay for our stream. We'll see how things go.
Okay, 8:08 instead of 8 o'clock.
Yeah, there you go. I think we want to start by kind of getting into why we like these old computers and why we want to keep them up and running. Rudy, since this is kind of your baby, what do you? Let's get your input on that a little bit.
Well, I started, I was 15 years old when I got my first Apple II Plus clone. Couldn't afford a real one, so I got the knockoff. It was great. I used it right through college, universities, right, all my stuff up. And I was doing repairs. I live near Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And at the time, I was going with PCs, and no one was doing any more Apple IIe repairs. So I opened up my own business, and I made enough money to pay myself for school and my first car.
Cool. Awesome.
And yeah, so I had literally stacks about 6-7 feet tall in my house, and I could repair one computer every 15 minutes. So I was making good money.
Wow.
Yeah, I got to the point. I just looked at the screen. I knew exactly what 1 or 2 chips it was, and go from there. Anyways, long story. Jump ahead many years. It was about almost 2 years ago. I started saying, "Hey, I found a 2E on eBay." I said, "That was a great price." I picked it up, and next thing you know, it's like wife saying, "No more stuff. There's no more room." So I started getting back into 2 Plus, the 2E. I'm playing around, learning more about the 2C. I just got a GS, which will be coming on a video soon. And I also do Commodore, the VIC-20 and
Boo Commodore.
Yeah, Commodore. The VIC-20, the 64.
That's an old Apple K-Fest joke.
Yeah, and I'll be doing a Commodore 128 repair, which I've never touched before, so it should be interesting. It'll be either it's great or you'll see firemen coming into the house, one or the other. I don't know.
Both ways are great, Rudy. Both ways bring viewers, especially the fire.
Yeah, the fire.
Make you real popular with your township. Yeah,
definitely. They'll never forget me.
Everybody in the chat's yelling at me, being like, "Oh my gosh, you said Boo Commodore! Don't say Boo Commodore, guys." I was joking. That's an old
Boo Apple
joke. We have a.
I mean,
who is it, Javier? Is it K Savitz that says that?
What?
Is it K Savitz at
K Savitz?
Yeah,
because he's
a
the
big
Atari
Apple.
guy.
He's an Atari guy, so he likes to say Boo Commodore. That's an old K-Fest joke, an old Kansas Fest joke. I had to say it. So, and then Javier, I mean, what you got you into these old computers?
Well, the same thing, you know, when I was like 12 years old, I got my own. No, before that, like 10 years old, I got a TI 9948. And then later, my dad brought us an Apple IIc back to Mexico. So that was difficult to get in, but because it was the smallest one, that could be taken over there. So I fall in love with that. And then, after that, it actually, I went into a graphic arts because of the Mac.
Mhm.
And I got into Mac, and I always use Mac since then. And a few years ago, like 10 years ago now, I actually went back and bought an Apple IIc, thanks to Charles Mangin, because he put something, he did a conversion of an Apple IIc. He put a Macintosh inside.
Wow.
And yeah, a
I didn't
mini.
know he did that.
Yeah, look for it. It's great. So I was gonna say that I say, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do a conversion. I'm gonna create. And when I got it, it worked. And I remember all my fun time with Apple IIc. I was like, no, I'm not gonna destroy this thing. I love it. And then from there, it went all downhill.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Grab. And
Yeah, I mean, look at some of this cool stuff Javier has done with stuff that's already broken. By the way, very important. We try to keep our systems running, but like this, he's got over his left shoulder there. He's got an LCD conversion. Is that running the Karateka demo or something right now?
This is running the one that has all the games.
Oh, the Total Replay.
Yeah, Total Replay.
Yeah, Total Replay. And this is a 2C Plus. And then over here, I got a 2C with a conversion on the monitor. So I got, color, black and white, green,
cool.
whatever I want.
What type of a screen's in there?
That's an
LCD screen. It's a 9-screen LCD.
Oh, nice.
And then it has a Plamen adapter. So I put it inside, and I got a button over there. I repurpose everything, so it looks original.
That's awesome.
And when you click, you can change resolution. Well, not resolutions, but colors.
Cool.
And so you can see it very clear.
So Javier, are you going to put a 2C inside a Mac?
No, never. I could, though.
That's why you get one of those clear cases, then you spray paint it. That way you're not breaking an original.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
So Joe, what's your story?
My story is pretty much similar, except I wasn't the one who had the computer when I was a kid. I didn't really get a computer until much, much, much later. Gosh, I was maybe 13 or 14 or so. My parents got a TRS-80, but I was never allowed to play with the thing. And it wasn't until my brother got it and then broke it, and then I got it and fixed it. And then eventually they saved up money for me. Because my parents were never like really super wealthy or anything, but I'm like, yeah, I'll do all the chores, I'll do all the things, and they saved up some money for me. This is before I could, actually work, and they got me 2 Apple IIs, and that started kind of my entire thing, and I just dove into that, as is evidenced by these guys back here. The Apples kind of are my thing, but I also get into other stuff like this NEC 8001A, one of the rarest 8-bit computers that exists. That just happened to magically come to me from a guy 2 houses up from me when he was moving.
Wow.
How does that happen? It's weird. K-Pro, got a K-Pro up here and other stuff too. I tend to focus on the 8-bit stuff because it's easier to understand. But I really get into the repairing and keeping aliveness of these old computers because they meant so much for an entire generation of people, not just here in the United States, but around the world. Rudy's in Canada, in case anybody didn't know. But everybody around the world, computers changed everything. And I want to try to preserve that piece of something, whatever, for people. Show it on my channel and do that. And how do we do that the best? We learn how to fix them and keep them running. Sure, you can emulate it. Sure, you can do this, you can do that. But really the best way to keep them running is to keep them running, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I've been on a quest for the past, 10 years or so, maybe 8 years, to slowly up my game and learn more and more and more and more. So yeah, it looks like we may have a rogue visitor to our little stream.
Oh!
Ron made it.
I very quickly had to go get a hat.
But how did you get from here to, I don't understand. How does this work?
It's movie magic, man. Ron's a movie star, so he knows how to do movie
I
magic.
need a hat too. There we go. I'll just put it there for the rest of the show.
Oh my gosh, Ron from Ron's Computer Videos.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to our inaugural
I can get rid of this then.
No,
You can. You can.
No, those will be
You're
auctioned off.
holding that up for me.
We have you represented in each of our streams in our own way. So
yeah.
Your own little way. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I was double booked tonight. My son had an awards banquet, so we very quickly had to kind of shuffle and get back and forth. So
let's be clear. It was your awards banquet for your own award that you were giving yourself.
Right.
the Ron Awards. It's
The Ronnies.
fairly exclusive. It isn't a Ron Howard year after year, but this was my year.
Oh boy.
Absolutely. And of course, when we were planning it too, we were saying, "Hey, Ron, family's more important than us just goofing off on a little stream." So we let Ron do his family thing,
Family.
and we let him.
Yeah.
Not like he was gonna
allowed me to.
But
That's your one pass for the year. That's it.
I know. It's you gotta be here for
Garth
the
is
rest
giving
of
you congratulations, Ron, on your award. So.
Oh well, thank you. It was tough, man, because I was up against like From the Earth to the Moon for like many years, and then he whizzed it down his leg with that Star Wars movie. I was in like Flynn.
So Joe was just talking about his beginnings of how he got hooked on the computer bug. Do we want to let Ron regale his story of
Tell us your little backstory so we know so everybody watching knows who we are.
This is boring. Everybody's heard this like 1,000 times, but I'm a shameless self-promoter, so here we go. Many years ago, I used to live in South Carolina as a Ute, and a Ute. That's more for Steve. That's kind of out his way, but anyway, we had like one Apple II Plus, and it was on a rolly cart with a television. That was our computer for the school, and that students had access to. So, but the idea was that you could kind of at like not PE, sorry, but like at lunchtime or recess, you could kind of book time on the machine, and there wasn't a whole lot of software for it that they had, but they did have Logo. And so I went in there, and over the course of like as many times as you can, like, bang out 15 minutes here and there, went through and made a design that looked like kind of the crest for this public school. And and so I showed it to the librarian, and she was really impressed by it. And I was like, yeah, it kind of took a little time and all that. And I kind of showed them about Logo, because they had a little Logo basics book there and all that. And I kind of taught myself. And so they showed the principal, and the principal was like, we've got to show everybody. So they wheeled the computer from classroom to classroom, and I got to go around for at least the people in my grade and kind of like dick and like show it draw the logo, and everybody was really impressed by that. Well, then I'm not joking, like the next day I went in there to book time, and they're like, oh, there's no time to book. It's because everybody wanted to go and do that. And so it was kind of like a cool thing that I seemingly turned a whole bunch of people in my age group onto Logo, but then screwed myself because I never got to touch that damn computer again. So a couple years later, though, they built like a new middle school regionally, and they had like a whole lab of Apple IIe's. So I was able to go in there and actually use computers again and play. It's like a Lemonade. There's like some kind of game, like the lemonade stand game. Yeah. And then they had some other like kind of fiction game where you could like write a script and basically like draw pictures, and it would kind of go through it. I mean, it was kind of like a slideshow more than anything else. And I excelled at that too, because people were really excited about that. So much so that they filled up the floppy. They had like one copy of it. They filled up the entire floppy with their stories. And then never got to mess with that again. I don't know. I'm like totally self-defeating by trying to get other people excited about computers. So, but that's my story. That's kind of where I got started. And then just years later, in high school, kind of took like a lot of business courses, because that was the only place where you could go take computer courses. And I went to public school kind of in the early 90s, which meant those were the only rooms that were air conditioned.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
you would go and take the business courses and you sit in the AC all day. And I worked it out my like junior and senior year that I could take like 2 business courses per day. So it was really nice because like in the afternoon, the hottest part of the day, you're in there like doing some sort of like programming class, or you were doing something else that was through the business department. But no, I just and made a bunch of friends through there. And then those people that I knew that were computer people, they went out into the real world and kind of got like Joe Jobs doing computer stuff as kids. And I'm a talk person. So I got a sales job and I worked for Montgomery Ward for years and did sales and right about the time that like Performa was kind of a thing. So I sold a mess of those Performa like 6100 series. Was never around for the 6200 series. So
you dirty boy, you.
well, there was one like Thanksgiving. I think I sold like 10 or 12 like 6100 machines, and like so much so that it depleted stock like in the entire state.
Apple's like, wait a second, they're actually selling. What's going on here?
Well, it's a 6100 with just like a bunch of software with it. So
and a
those
modem,
Performa,
and a screen.
So, So and I mean, like you got to think about it, like the 575. There was a Performa for that, and a 550. So there's a lot of beige machines that people love that just got the Performa label slapped on it because it was a way to get it into retail. And then was it Gil Emilio? Is that the
Well, I think it started
Chad that was
earlier.
trying to sell Apple.
Oh, that's
that
Spindler. Yeah,
the 6200 guy. Okay, so but he that was where things got all screwed up. But I was way out of it by then. But yeah. Anyway, and then I've just always kind of stuck with computers and done computer things, and I've worked in higher education for the last 25 years or so, and yeah.
Cool.
That's it. It's kind of boring.
No.
I think it's
You
absolutely
entertained us.
interesting.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's
It's I love this hobby. I think it's really good. I kind of got back into the Macintosh thing a couple of years ago when a friend of mine was like, "Hey, I got this Quader 700. Do you want it?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds great." So I got it and I fixed it up and got all ready to go. And then like somebody else was like, "Oh, I really want to get into Mac stuff," so I gave away the Quader 700. So kicking myself now. Looking at eBay prices,
yourself in the foot, don't you?
I know. So I just try to be excited about things, get other people excited about things, and that's kind of where all that went. But I in last few years just been recollecting things and getting back into the hobby. Started the YouTube channel, got to be friends with all you great guys, and eventually I'll make it to Steve's house. I'm just gonna be like, it's gonna be like Kilroy outside his window with a couple of Flower Power iMacs.
No. The wife is going to see. Go around the back.
Bunny inspector. I'm here to inspect your lagomorphs, ma'am.
We sent you people a check last week.
National Lagomorph Trust. The check bounced.
Please talk in
my
that
God.
voice for the rest of the podcast.
Oh yeah. And sir, what is your name? It's Harvey.
Harvey.
I got a million rabbit jokes.
Oh boy.
So,
One for each rabbit, right?
yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now it's Steve's turn. Let's hear about Steve.
Yeah, so the first computer that I remember using, I don't know exactly which one it was. It was probably, it was in kindergarten. It was a logo experience as well. It was a machine with dark keys, so I'm going to guess it was either a Commodore or some type of a machine. That
If it was keeping up with you, it was a Commodore.
I mean, it has to be some kind of machine, right?
Well, it had. I remember we were able to bring it home once, and it had a tape drive, and it had it hooked up to a regular
They
television.
let
Now
you
that,
take it home?
well, my mother was doing some type of program where she was bringing computers to different schools and such.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
so for the weekend, I guess we got to take it home. And I remember it being in the weirdest spot because like there was no place for the computer at the time. But it had logo on it when we played around with it in school. So I might be mixing up the two different machines, but there was some type of machine and logo was on it. I just remember like typing it in, and they would pretend that it was a turtle, even though it was like a triangle. And I'd make it. I type in like I type in like 1,000,000, and it would go pew, and just like go off screen and all in all different crazy directions. But the first computer I really had a connection with was my family's first machine that they got in June of 1990. So I was like 4, maybe 4.5 or so, and it was a Macintosh 2CX. And that machine was, I mean, it was color. It had a dot matrix image writer too. You had a bunch of games on there, Reader Rabbit, Math Rabbit, all that fun stuff. And I just remember being mesmerized by like the color graphics on the machine. And we had a drawing program, Easy Color Paint. And so I would take the mouse and I would draw with that. And I think that's how still today I'm very articulate with the mouse as far as drawing and stuff like that, because I was just like, when I was a kid, I was like, oh, I'm just going to draw like Disney characters and Sonic and all these things, you know. And that I think what really got me hooked on that, because I sort of knew my way around the machine by the time I was in elementary school, where they had a lab full of Macintosh LCs and Performas and stuff like that. So when it came time to play with Kid Pix or whatever the application was that was on the machine, I was like drawing up a storm, and I got to use the color printer once in a while because they were like, we don't have any spare discs, but you could take this home, you know. But I'd shoot myself in the foot like Ron, you know, because I would be so, you know, excited to mess with these machines that, you know, the computer teacher would be like, oh, you can help me erase floppy disks. And he's like, just put the disk in, you drag the contents to the trash and select empty. And I'm like, but no, you could actually put the disk in, go to the special menu and hit erase, and it'll take 5 times longer. So I had to be thorough, and, you know, I shoved my foot in my mouth by doing that, realizing, oh, now I have to sit here until these are all done. But yeah, that's elementary school for you, having the
thankfully they were 400K floppies, so just a fraction of the time.
Yeah, so I mean that's really how I got into Macs from the get-go. And, you know, later on, my father brought home a 7500 from his job. They did graphic art stuff, so whenever they had a machine that was newer, the old ones really didn't get used, so he was able to take one home. And so the 2CX became like the kid's computer, and then the 7500 was his machine. The same thing happened when he got a new G4 tower. The 7500 became the kids' machine. But those machines lasted us a long time. I mean, you're talking, you know, what, a 20 megahertz processor to what was the 7100, I think was a 100 megahertz one that we had, and then the 450 G4, and then he had that until the 2007 iMac that he got. So those machines, we stretched them for a while, and I learned a lot from watching my dad and reading magazines and stuff about like upgrading memory and extension conflicts and all that stuff. So it was like in the back of my mind the whole time, and I would go to the library renting these like thick Macworld secret books, you know, and stuff like that. And I think that's what really got me hooked into that stuff. And it wasn't really until middle school or high school that I met other people who were interested in computers. And it was never Macs. It was always PCs. And I never really, you know, had experience with PCs until years later. I think it was the early 2000s. Like 6 months before the company issued laptops to everyone, my mother bought a PC so she could do work from home. And it was the crummiest E-Machines desktop you could buy. My dad, a longtime Apple fan, is opening the box and he's just looking at it, shaking his head and saying, this feels so wrong. You know, it's just, you know, but, you know, we played games on it and whatever, but it expanded my knowledge of those machines too. And got me here to be where I am today, yelling at Ron's boards to make them work better. So
yeah, it's a real basket case. Those
hey,
boards.
That's what I tell all of my clients, you know, first thing first, my computer's broken. Did you yell at it?
Yeah.
It may not fix it, but you'll feel better.
That's one way to do it. Yeah.
So, Steve, everybody in the chat think you and Mackie are the same person.
Well,
that may or may not be because somebody said that you and Mackie are the same person.
I dropped my Mackie behind the desk and I can't get it. I have a little.
To be fair, I've
plastic.
never seen Steve and Mackie in the same place at the same time. So it's possible.
I will not get into the copyright violation against Kate with Mackie, because she will sick Mackie on me and I will be consumed like an 800K disc in a broken tape drive or floppy drive or whatever. What was that? You can't just show that and hide it. Look at that.
That's adorable.
Yeah, I know. It's
Where did you get that?
Smack-a-Mac. Oh, a good friend of mine got this for me.
That is cool.
And because I was talking to them about kind of neat old things from the Mac kind of stuff. And actually, I had this, and Javier and I did a thing about how shippable various Macintoshes are. And this is the most shippable Mac.
Is that like a whack-a-mole?
The Whack-A-Mac. Yeah.
Whack-a-mile.
We just have to remake those, but have Ron's face on the front of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll work.
So whenever Ron's late, we'll just have that guy on the screen.
Yeah.
Just really give it to him.
Why were you late, Ron? Don't take that tone with me. Come on. Just sitting there with a smile. Oh, we're a bunch of dorks.
Oh, that's cool. That's perfect, though. So, let's talk about a topic or something for a little bit. At
Jeez,
least.
no computers. No.
So let's keep we'll keep it a little lighthearted for this first episode. I think. What would you each consider? Well, we know what Steve's answer is, but what would you each consider your hardest repair on an old computer you've ever had? We know what Steve's is.
All of them.
Can I throw mine across the room while you
Yeah,
talk
there you
about it?
Rudy, why don't you start?
Me. Not too long ago, excuse me, I did a repair on a Commodore 64 that the house was hit by lightning.
Oh my.
And so I figured, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I've repaired a lot of 64s and VIC-20s, but this one was very strange. And at the end of the day, it became wall art because it was all the traces were all curling up off the board. It's like, do you really want to spend that time?
Like direct hit them.
Well, it went through the power. It went through the power supply, obviously through the mains in the house, but there were still chips on the board that were good. So I don't know why. Some of it was bad, some of it was no good. I found a whole bunch. So that's like, this is not worth it. I have a video on it called Deep Fried Commodore 64, and it's just it wasn't pretty. I thought, oh great, I'll do a video, I'll fix it, it'd be awesome. It's like, yeah, e-waste.
That you always get that inspiration for something, whether it's something you find on eBay or yard sale, and it's like, this is, honey, I got to get this. It's for the channel. I'm gonna do, and you sit it down and you start taking around it and you go, oh God, no, this is not gonna work at all. But
8 hours later,
it's after you've sunk in 8 hours into it. Yeah,
8 hours later, Steve is still on the stream. Just beads of sweat just coming down his forehead. Like,
I got all my money wrapped up in this. This has got to work.
How do I wrap this up on a positive? Oh, man.
So, Rudy, John Mouts in the chat is asking you if if that Commodore 64 became sentient like Johnny 5.
No.
Oh man, that would be cool.
It's on the pile of chips I want to take out.
You'd really have to be keeping up with the Commodore then, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's weird because on the Commodore, one of the main chips is called the PLA, Programmable Logic Array, and it's the main chip that usually those die all the time. Mm-hmm. And that was good. And it's like, what? How can this be good? It doesn't make sense. And then I pulled it out. I found traces under the memory and the CPU that were all curling off the pads. And so it's like, how much time I'm going to spend to fix this thing? It's cheaper to go buy another one on eBay, and I'll use this for parts. So I didn't. My friend of mine, I said, you know what? Don't worry about it. Just don't pay me. I don't care. Just keep your money. Go buy another one on eBay or buy one of mine, and I'll use this for parts. But it was just so whacked.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty lucky with the Commodore 64, it being, I think, even to this day, the most sold of any computer model or any single model computer ever made. Somewhere between 25 and 50 million of those gosh darn things were made. Yeah. There is always a bread bin in someone's bread bin somewhere. So exactly, short of the SID chip, which usually dies all the frickin' time because it's an analog device. Yeah, you can usually steal parts out of those. But even then, this kind of touches a little bit on some of the things that I do, is that people are making replacement parts for those hard to replace parts. There are replacement PLA projects going on now.
Yeah,
SID has like 5 or 10 different replacements for it. The 8570 timer has a replacement. So that's really cool.
Yeah, there's a replacement for the ROM, for the kernel. There's many pieces except the processor. I haven't found any release for the
because it's a 6502 with that special I/O port.
Well, this 6502 is on a VIC-20, but on the Commodore 64 it's a 6510.
It's a 6510, yeah.
It's a Commodore special.
Well, it's technically, I mean, the pinout's a little different too, but
Yeah.
it's code base. It's a 6502, but it's got a special I/O port at locations 0, 1, and 2 in memory that do like memory mapping things.
Yeah.
And to replace that, you need to have like some sort of weird sandwich with a chip that underneath it. So you could use a 6502, but yeah. There's not really been any market. I don't want to say market, but any sort of project out there that's been released to replace that, because the 6510s don't really usually go bad.
No, they don't usually go bad. And the weird thing is that the drives, the floppy drives, have a processor in it also.
Oh yeah.
So if you don't care about your floppy drive, you can just pull the processor out and put it in your board, and you're good to go.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I see people all the time that are just like killing themselves trying to get a Commodore 64 working. They are literally like 8% of the Earth's mass. Like, it's possible to
like
e-cycle a C64. I mean, we don't need every last molecule. It's okay. But if you do have a problem, like something where you are just like, you cannot solve it, you need to get out of my eShop one of these beautiful Javier fix-it candles. All you have to do, you light the candle, you place it next to the computer in question.
How many do I need for this?
Like 5
You're
or
gonna
10.
you're gonna need a truckload for that.
A dozen.
So you light the candle, you put it next to the machine, and it will either fix it,
That works.
or you won't worry about it. Or you won't worry about it anymore.
If that doesn't work, you can go to my channel. I have a link to my GitHub. I create a spreadsheet with all the ones I could think of, all the problems on a VIC-20, 64, Apple II, plus 2E, 2C, Commodore 128 PET. You can download the spreadsheet and filter by the problems you're having. It'll tell you which chips and locations to replace. So hopefully, if that doesn't work, then get the candles out of them.
Talking about that, also, I have an Apple II FAQ.com. Remember that one? So it's not very, big, but it's user contributed. So if you guys want to go over there and check it too,
You're muted, Joe.
You're muted, Joe.
What's that? Because I had to mute myself because when I type, I have a Model M keyboard, and you can hear it like 2 houses down and 4 blocks over. What is that URL again, so I can throw it in the chat for everybody, Javier?
Mine is Apple 2, the number 2, FAQ.com.
I've been there before.
I have too. Hey, are we going to talk about Joe's like Joe Rohde-esque earring that he's wearing there? I mean, are you becoming an Imagineer, or is it every machine you repair, you put another part on it?
Down a little more. Yeah.
It's my earbud.
The Macintosh librarian,
okay.
Because the Macintosh librarian has 2 little Macs. He wants to be like that.
Like a rapper.
Javier, your Apple II FAQ.com website goes to DreamHost saying site not found.
What?
No. Apple numeral 2 FAQ.com.
Yep.
That's right.
It works for me. But it's not it's not secure because he ain't gonna pay for no
FAQ.com. Site not found.
I don't want to pay for it.
You've got to get rid of your excite.com DNS stuff, Joe.
I put the link.
It might actually
for 10
be,
years.
it might.
I put the link in the chat there, Joe. So you click on that. Oh wait, no, it might not be showing up in the chat because I'm not a moderator. So YouTube
Hold on.
cuts out the links.
I dropped it in there. If people want to go there and get nothing, they can do that.
Oh, you need
take out the S.
www. You can't have the
Take
S
out
there.
the S. Yeah, no HTTPS.
But
you don't need security on an Apple II.
Because I'm old school.
But who puts www in front of a website anymore? Who does?
Everybody that I talk to at work.
Me?
That I'm like, go to this URL. Well, it's not working. Did you put www? Yes. I said, why? It is 2021. I'm looking at a calendar. And not just that, just put in the exact words I told you.
I'm retro. I like www.
See, I always here's what I do. Like I actually do a lot of this. Wow, we are getting way off the trail here. I do domain management. I actually have one of our domain management systems open in another tab right now for a client, and I always just CNAME www to the main. Like people can type it, It doesn't do the thing, but whatever.
I need your permission
haven't touched
to
that
share
domain
my
in-
own website.
6 years. Yeah.
Only ribbons. Yeah,
Only ribbons.com.
yeah, I love it.
Oh,
It's my latest fan site, and yeah, you could hear it. So there you go.
Oh wow, that is okay. It
That's-
actually makes. Does it make the noise?
No, I haven't added the QuickTime 3 code to do that yet.
Oh,
but that's one of those domains that I purchased for a laugh, and it'll be, the URL domain company is going to be laughing forever because I'm going to be paying $9 for the rest of my life every year.
This would be a great one to get cyber squatted about 20 years ago. Somebody be like,
man.
"Oh, those lucrative star ribbons for all of my Epson printers." I love that. It's you know what you really need? You really need like a button that you can click where it's your parents scolding you for printing another print shop banner in color.
At
where
2
all
a.m.
the letters are in color. Yeah.
That better be
that
for
one.
school.
Yeah.
I swear, Mom, it's fine. I only print them in black and white because that's the you can't even see it because the white balance is terrible on this camera. I swear, there's an image there. I swear.
All I
was
can
gonna
see
say,
is I'm
did you
trying to. Something is wanting me to go in the light, and I'm like, no, I have computers to fix.
Steve spun the camera and Yahweh was like, no, I don't want to be on camera. Sorry. Let the Israelites know everything's okay, but I'm out.
Hey, Rudy, we got somebody in the chat asking if you're on Twitter. I don't even know that. Are you?
No,
No. Rudy is not the
not-
social media type.
I'm not Twitter. I don't do Facebook. All that. No.
If you want,
Luckily, though, he still has a MySpace page, so just hanging on to it.
you never know when it's coming back.
Are you
folks.
I did.
He's in the
BBS.
palace. Remember the palace?
Yeah.
God, we're old.
No, I put in the private chat the link to my GitHub for the spreadsheet.
Ah,
If you
yes,
guys are
yes.
interested
Thank
in
you,
it.
thank you.
Awesome.
And if anybody finds anything wrong or wants to add to it, let me know. I'll add to it. I'm constantly finding stuff. I'm adding to it. I'm trying to add. I'm working on the Commodore PET, the big steel boat anchor, and I want to put something on there for the Apple III. So as soon as I get more information, I'll be putting it on there too.
Apple III. If you need any info from me, there.
You the
Rudy,
man.
remind me because I got
Yep.
I got one down here splayed into bits, ready for extraction. Seriously, it is. It's splayed into bits. So,
So
You
the way I
should
set it
see-
up. The
You
way I
should
set
see
it up
Joe's bed. He's got like Beaumark bed sheets.
is Beaumark.
I got them printed out all my bed
Yeah.
sheets, the spreadsheets.
Joe, help me. I need to find the resistor over here somewhere.
Those are mini pets like that.
Oh,
Yeah, there you
they're
go.
tiny.
Yeah, because this only costs $5 to ship and not $500, and will actually arrive in one piece.
Is it house train?
Yeah, there you go.
And I've been asked by a friend of mine to put one of those mini pets inside a VIC 20 case
Will it fit?
because yeah, it'll fit. The original one of the original VIC 20s keyboards is the actual keyboard that they use in the pets.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
So you can actually plug it in and then have your pet on a bread bin, I guess. I don't know. Hey, whatever floats your boat, I don't know. I'll just fix it and go. Yeehaw.
is that going to be our catchphrase? For,
Yeah,
for-
yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
Lasso that like button, folks. So, Javier, what was your hardest repair?
I think we know.
All right, partner, let me tell you a story. I reckon I have two of them. Actually,
Wow.
you guys already know about them. One is the SE30 that I sent to you, and then you sent it to Steve, and right now it's in Australia, I think it is.
Yes. Awaiting
Well,
some
Travis,
magic
not-
from Bruce.
Not fixable yet. And then
Yes.
the second one is the Color Classic.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That is just, I tried. It's just like, like Mick Jagger. I can't get no satisfaction with those. You know,
Just don't sing it so we don't get copyright struck before we're even monetized.
Ron
Yeah,
can sing it because
exactly.
he's
No, no, no.
perfectly in tune. And
yeah, always. No, but that, and I was telling Joe, I used to have a beautiful, perfectly working Color Classic, and I traded for a TAM 20 anniversary Mac.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to get another one. So I'm trying to get it back. So
And I have that Color Classic in pieces on my floor right now.
Joe's been having
Trying-
so much fun with those.
I'm trying to get that thing working. As a matter of fact, we've gotten it mostly fixed at this point. Status update. I'll give you a status update, Javier, while we're here. The board's fine. The Logic board working great now.
Yay!
Got that figured
It's just
out.
everything else is screwed. Forget
Oh
it.
yeah. Of course. We
everything
got
is
the,
broke.
something happened. Did you replace any capacitors on the analog board?
Yes.
Okay. I think you may have cleared a couple of joints that didn't need to be cleared. Because I looked back over it. I actually had to go over to Tinker Different. TinkerDifferent.com, by the
Yay!
way. Hold on. I will drop that in the chat as well.
I get a free cup of coffee every time I pitch the site.
That's right.
But I had to go over there and ask a couple questions. And got pointed in the right direction thanks to the folks over there. But basically, yeah, there were a couple resistors that you had access. Like, I'm not trying to blame you or anything. And that's the point of this as
is.
well.
You already solder shade me for a long time. I was walking the other day in the street, and they told me, "Oh, you're the guy that doesn't know how to solder."
Oh, stop. Replace the flux capacitor, Eric Rangel says. Yes. Go back in time to where it actually worked. No, but yeah, I had a couple joints I had to fix there. And then that did the thing. Rudy, did I put your link in the main chat? Rudy is asking me on the side. Rudy, yes, I did.
I didn't see it. Thank you.
Yes.
Yep, the GitHub link is there. But yeah, I fixed a couple joints, and that analog board is actually working quite well now.
Yay.
It still has a little bit of a flickery problem every once in a while, and I'm not sure what the cause of that is, but I'll figure it out. I might have to deoxid it or something. So, yeah, that what happened to that? You said it just like went sideways all of a sudden. It broke.
What?
It died. The Color Classic. You were telling me.
It was working. It was starting to work, and it began to get all light, and then lines, and then gone.
Wow.
I was
So
like,
it just
okay.
kind of insta-died.
Fall off the wagon.
Yeah. Fall of the wagon.
It stumbled out of that saloon.
Yeah, Oregon.
Just like that Atari that John is telling me about it. That Atari also that was epic.
Oh, the Atari incident.
Yes.
That was
Yes.
good. That was a good incident.
The one I fixed with finish nails.
Oh,
You see, guys, that's the thing about retro repair. If it works, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
how much
it works,
tape
it's
do I
not
need?
stupid. How much
Put
tape?
this-
Yeah, there you go. And up until you can't see the board anymore, and
Yeah.
then it might as well be fixed because
Just
it no
don't breathe
longer
on it;
exists.
it'll be fine. Don't
Yeah.
you know? So
So
what was yours, Joe? Your
that is a really fascinating question. I think I have mine on the bench right now. I've had a The Color Classic actually has been kind of a tricky, but it's mostly been just perseverance. Nothing in it has been like insanely difficult or anything like that. But the one I have on the bench right now, I've been working on quite a lot, is this guy. And if you can see right there, it's battery bombed.
Mhm.
oh, that's lovely.
And so I've been very carefully working on drilling out holes and the whole 9 yards to get that working.
Or
But
you
the
could
upside is that, like, I think it'll be fine. And
Joe,
it's
those
difficult.
are just resistors that go in there normally.
Oh yeah, I mean,
So with
yeah.
them removed, it's infinite resistance. You should be fine.
Yeah, nothing will ever get in my way,
Well, the good thing about that,
especially
Joe,
at working.
is if the board itself is problematic, but all the chips are good, you could get like one of the SE recreation logic boards from Kai Robinson and just put all the pieces in there. I mean, I'm so glad that we're at the stage in retro computing where we have people like that doing these types of projects where it's like, all right, like 90% of this is working, but there's like these through hole things that are just like gone. And yeah, you could just hopefully just get that working somehow, Joe.
Yep. And this is also this project too is kind of it's actually kind of important to mention this on this stream as well. This project is more of a practice project. This was a donation from a viewer. And I figured I'm just going to take a crack at something insanely hard to do because I'm going to learn a whole bunch along the way. How to, for example, like what the actual solubility of lead salts are in destroyed solder and things of that nature. So it's going to be a really fun trip. And if it doesn't work, then we've got a good parts board that I've learned a lot about how to take the things out of it to then transplant into a board like Kai Robinson's board. So absolutely. Ron,
You're up.
What's your hardest repair?
Oh, I've never had one I haven't been able to fix.
You just send them to other people so they can fix.
Exactly.
That's exactly right.
So, Steve, whose boards are you working on?
All
yours.
Yeah. No, actually, I think just kind of in recent memory, like the tough one that I was trying to fix. I had a LC2 that was sort of between power supply issues and mainboard issues and a tiny bit of battery bomb. Had a lot of issues, and I got it all working. I got it 100% back to life. It really just took this is by no means advice that anybody should follow, but Simple Green is kind of a very mild acidic sort of solution. Put it on there, give things a good scrub, and then like really rinse it with alcohol. And I was able to recap the board, got everything going, recap the power supply. It was up, it was finally stable. Things were really good. And I was like, it's it's LC. If I said LC2, I apologize. LC. And I said, it's got that socket there for a Mathco. I should just install a socket, or it's got the pads and everything. I should just go ahead and install a socket and just take this the rest of the way, and killed the board. So that was, and it was, I could never come back from that. Even if I like desoldered the socket, something I must have flexed it. I must have done something to the ground plane. Something is no good. So it's a beautiful machine. I have like a recapped LC power supply, and those LC boards are pretty easy to pick up and not super expensive. I mean, if you want a Mac 2 like with no new bus slots, it's the way to go.
Well, if you're sending over that SE30 boards, include that one too. I'll see what I can do with it.
Well, I've already sent you my SE30 board, so don't say that you've lost it, please.
No. The other SE30 board, the working one. That's the one I want you to send.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever you do, just don't put floppy EMU on the box because he's destined to.
It'll be gone. It'll be gone.
No.
Actually, I still have Steve's floppy EMU. I keep it right here. So when he's like, "What happened to that dang thing?" I'll be like, "That's right."
I misunderstood. I thought you had a second Macintosh SE30. A high roller as you are, Ron.
Steve, I also have your W drive.
Well, if you have problems with your floppy EMU, there's pills for that. That.
There is. Just ask your Macintosh doctor if it's right for you.
No.
Yeah.
Is your heart healthy enough to retro?
I've zapped myself too many times. No.
Wow, we really are old.
My heart's
Moving
fine.
on.
My hairline's not good for retro. What the heck happened?
I'm home.
I was working on a 2 plus, had lots of head and afro, and then that didn't work. And
So, although most people think, because the question was, what was the hardest machine you've repaired? The Quadra 840 AV, unfortunately, is not repaired. So, although this is probably has 48 hours of streaming content out there, this isn't working yet. So, we're not going to consider that. But the machine that I have in recent memory had a pretty hard time fixing was a Quadra 610 that I got. And it was one of these things that was local on one of these social media marketplace type things. And I messaged the person. It had the box, it had the monitor, and it had a keyboard. And in the box and everything, I said, "Oh, this is great. I would love this." And I messaged the person. They said, "Well, somebody already is coming to pick it up." And I said, "Well, that's all right. If they back out or anything, I'm like 20 minutes away, and I'll give you cash in hand." And ended up that person, I guess, didn't show, and this person was moving. They just had to get it gone. So they said, "Yep, you're next in line. Come pick it up." And somehow, even though the photos were straight, on the app and everything, and I could see them clearly, I missed that part of the bundle was an Apple adjustable keyboard in the box as well. So it's a weird trapezoid style box. So it threw me off because it was like, yeah, it's an Apple box. I'll just, But the machine, unfortunately, had some issues. So while I was there, the lady insisted I take it out and look at it. So I'm looking at the machine. I'm like, "Oh, I'll pop the top off." And the clips instantly just snapped off the back. So it's the same pizza style case as like the 6100. And the
Spindler Plastic Co. Incorporated. Yes.
Yes. Try and say that 5 times fast. But
I couldn't say it one time.
Exactly. So those clips just ripped right off, and the lady's like, "Oh no," and I'm like, "No, it's fine." And I pulled the battery out. It was a little rusty, but it didn't seem like it had leaked. And so I brought it home and everything. And the lady was adamant, like, "If it doesn't work, let me know. Doesn't work, let me know." So the first thing I do is I take the board out and I inspect it. And there was some corrosion in some places. I go to turn it on, nothing. I'm like, okay, maybe it's a bad power supply. Nope, power supply was fine. So this took a few streams of me to figure it out. And this was way earlier in my recapping. I wasn't, quite too sure of, a lot of these other repairs that I've seen other people do if I was brave enough to do it. I ended up recapping it. That didn't work. Now when I turned on the machine, I got SandMac time, which is, all right, we're getting somewhere. And it turned out that on that particular board, one of the caps had leaked so much that it had made its way through one of the vias and just completely corroded everything from the top of the board to the bottom. So whatever signal was going through was not making it through. And it was just that one trace that was causing the problem. So as a quick fix, I just soldered one of these enamel wires from one side of the board and ran it onto the other, and it turned on beautifully. But that was one of those machines that stuck with me for a few streams. I was just trying to get that darn thing to work. And now the case is sitting up there. So I have to reassemble the machine because I wanted to do a video of like unboxing the find, and that was a few years ago. So we'll see if I get to that. But sometimes you hit it lucky with some of these machines, and sometimes you don't. But it was one of those things where even if it wasn't working with the box, and it came with like a manual, it came with a modem and stuff like that, it was a good deal all around.
Cool. Sweet. Since we have a natural pause in everything here, I'd like to remind Clippy had personality. Joe's them fighting. Sorry, me and somebody in the chat, Angular Momentum, here are having a little bit of a discussion about Clippy and Mackie and which one's better. Anyway, so quick reminder is when we have a little pause here in the thing, if you are subscribed to this channel, that's great. If you're not, hit the button. And if you haven't hit like, we've got 31 of you watching, but only 19 likes. What is that about?
I have to go like
lasso that like button.
Oh,
guys,
have you your mouse cursor around it and go click?
Have you priced likes recently? I mean,
priced
likes. What with all this false scarcity, it's really tough. I mean,
they're Chinese, I think. Yeah.
I can't bother clicking that button.
So, I think we should take this moment now to step into the shoes of our viewers and do a little bit of Q&A, which is going to be a feature of this moving forward. Ask some questions from the group about repairs, tips, tricks, or if they have anything cool they want to talk about. So I'm going to scroll through there and take a look and see if we got any other questions. But if you guys in the chat right now have any questions, you want to throw them in there, throw them in there, and we will talk about them. So there were a couple questions in the past. So I'm going to scroll back and see if I can find them.
Why is
Smart
Ron so
people.
handsome? That's a question.
What's that?
Why is Ron so handsome?
I don't know. I have a certain appeal to a very niche group of other humans, and it's true. I love that. I look like I should just be like some guy at a restaurant that is like
This is the Ron fan
very
club?
adamant that you don't have a reservation. So. But I am glad that this because when we were kind of spitballing all this stuff, I am glad that we did decide to make this the Q&A section instead of the TNA section, because I refuse to do nudity anymore unless I get 5% of the total gross of whatever the project is. So that was.
Hey,
That
Steve,
Hollywood
Steve,
accounting has
Eric-
really screwed you over. You know,
It's
Eric is saying you should sell those pictures as Ron NFTs.
Yeah,
Oh.
I will.
I'll sell them as physical printouts.
You can't do that because then I've got to take the video down and I've got to blur it and put it back up.
hold
Nah,
on. Just
lazy.
right click on it and save the video locally, and you're all set. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Good.
We do have a question from Garth
I love
Beagle.
that.
He's like, what's your biggest failure? Steve, you want to take that one?
Well, I not the Quadra. I've had a failure that I want to mention. So I was tinkering around, and by the way, there'll be an announcement after this, after the story. I was tinkering around with an iMac that a recycler gave me. No screen. It was a 2013 iMac. Had the frame, the logic board, and the power supply. And I thought, well, if I plug an external monitor into it, maybe I'll get some signs of life out of it. So I'm plugging things away and turning it on. Nothing happens. You see some of the lights on the motherboard come up, but that's it. So I'm unscrewing some things and doing this and doing that, reseeing the power supply and all this stuff. And with the iMac, you have a lot of these long screws that are attaching the board to the case. Otherwise, they'll become free and things will jostle around. Well, I had the iMac in front of me and I'm jostling around with things. I have it unplugged. And I'm like, all right, let me try it again. So I go to plug it in. Now to plug it in, here's the iMac, and I'm leaning forward to plug the back of the cable in. And as I'm doing that, I didn't realize that I had loosened the power supply board enough so it could move a little bit freely. And as I plugged it in, it bridged the front of the chassis and just spark. And
Oh,
I was like
Wow.
2 centimeters away from this thing when it blew, and I'm like, "Duh!" And I yanked the power cable out, and I'm like, step back, and you just see smoke rising.
Steve, I do have to interrupt you. You used a weird form of measurement that Rudy will know, but I don't think the rest of us will. What are centimeters?
It's a bit smaller than an inch, just
Okay.
a bit,
All right.
but let's say half an inch. Don't get too caught up in the
Yeah,
conversion.
everybody looks like,
It's-
huh?
It's a scientific term.
Yes, it's like about that big. But anyway, it scared the bejesus out of me. I was like, "Oh, that's it." And needless to say, if anybody needs any questionably working iMac 2013 parts, let me know. They're just sitting right
And
over there.
soiled underpants.
Those already sold, my friend. You're late. You're too late for that.
Yes, hand, right?
That's a special market right there.
NFT.
Nobody
It was
wants to
going
right click
down
that.
real fast.
More like
Man.
TMI.
I don't think did we agree ahead of time that this was supposed to be a PG stream?
Well,
I
that
did
went out
mark
the
it
window.
not safe for kids. So
Out the window.
This
I've
is
been
this is
effing and jeffing so far. I think we're doing okay.
this is
I think
RG. Ron
You can be
General Guidance.
risque
Yeah,
and still have a pretty good show.
We'll just use a lot of innuendo, so it'll go right over the kids' heads. They won't notice.
Mhm.
We appeal to such a young generation, obviously. So
Mhm.
Right over my head.
So, Javier, you had a very similar, interesting failure recently, didn't you?
Yep. Yeah, with the Atari 520. And that's because I'm so smart that I of course, I didn't know the power supply, so I made my own power supply. And I saw the schematic, and the schematic was, I didn't read the small text that says, view from the, I don't know, from the computer or something like that. So I just switched the plus to the minus, you know, And then when I connected, I just saw a lot of smoke, and I heard a and I have to learn actually my sound because I said a bad word. Yeah.
Fiddlesticks.
Fiddlestick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeepers creepers.
Yeah.
You can't put bleeps in. The
Ron
Yeah.
McAdams.
algorithm detects that. It has to be
Really?
noise.
Ah.
Anyway,
Oh.
moving on.
We should just yell Ron's name every time something bad like that happens. Like curse
Ron!
his name. Ron McAdams.
Run!
What happened? Ah.
Run!
My go-to is usually to curse Bruce because he's all the way in Australia and he can't be held liable for it. So
Yeah. We should all say blimey.
Yeah.
Oh, blimey.
Actually, my failure was very similar. The best failures happen to be just those that are the most spectacular. Similar thing to you there, Steve. I was I don't remember exactly what I was doing, but I had a power supply apart, and to get it apart, I had to take the mains lead plug and unscrew it to get it out of the way so I could get the board out of the chassis. I put everything back together, but I forgot to screw the plug back in. And so what happened is when I went to plug the power in, it slid inside the case and dropped mains directly across the metal chassis. That was fun.
did you touch it?
Luckily, no, because I learned from a long time ago. I'm an old PC tech where everything was live at mains voltage and you had to treat everything as death. So I was holding it with something else. I didn't have my hand on the metal. But oh yeah, sparks everywhere. That was delicious. It's still in my collection. It's one of these machines back here. I don't remember which one. I've completely forgotten that conveniently. But yeah.
Yeah, Bruce is to blame for my continuous live streams of my Quadra 840 AV. He's always the one saying, "Yeah, it's that Quadra looking a bit lonely today," and then it's 8 hours of me cursing at the board. So it's gonna find its way to him one day, and I'm gonna just be like, "There you go, your turn."
Wait until the exchange rate is at its lowest to keep the shipping costs down,
There you
and
go.
then
There's no
send
return on that investment.
it. Right.
Send it e-packet. It might get there 4 months from now.
Mm.
Just photocopy it and mail it.
I'm just gonna send you some
Here's
pictures.
a picture of my problem. Here's my problem. Here, look.
The heck am I supposed
Yeah.
to do with this?
It's just gonna be a picture of like Steve holding the board. Yeah. Here's my problem.
I had
And a
two
reminder-
disasters. I had two disasters in my life that I'll never forget.
Yes.
One was I was 17 years old, and I'm studying electronics, and I was asked to fix a color television set. And while I was working on it, I didn't realize 25,000 kilovolts were in that tube.
25,000 kilovolts, so 25 million volts.
Whatever, it felt like it. So I had my screwdriver to discharge the tube, and the cable's plugged into the ground. However, I did one of these. I will show you. So here is the screwdriver. I went like that,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
and I flew back, so 6 feet back, broke through the drywall,
Oh wow.
ended up in the basement, right through the drywall. Had a burn mark that went from one side to the other side of my finger. I'm like, okay, my hair's still here. I was okay, but my dad got so mad because I did a cartoon blowout of the wall of myself.
So
Wow.
that's why they call it a flyback.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It had to be done. I'm sorry, Rudy.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, that was bad. And the other one was I got a off of Kijiji, eBay affiliate. I got a TRS-80 Model 3, and it showed up, and looks like someone was kicking it because the monitor inside had broken off the standoffs and had bounced around inside the case, and then it imploded. So there was glass and stuff everywhere.
Ugh.
So I ended up cleaning it up, vacuuming it, and I started working on the board. The power supply was dead. I got that working. The board, I couldn't get it working until I got a microscope for a friend of mine, and there was chunks of glass inside several of the ICs. Like it actually went into the IC.
Wow.
Wow.
It was crazy. So that part became e-waste, but I still have the case. So
Wow.
if you want one, I got one for sale for $19.99.
That
We have
reminded me
a-
of the time that I. Oh, sorry.
No, go
that
ahead.
reminded me of the time that I was gonna. What?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Your turn.
That I was gonna. I do my conversions for LCDs, and I wanted to put the round glass from a normal CRT. So it occurred to me that I could just saw one CRT and take out. How not? Why not?
Sure.
But thank God I investigated a little bit more, because it would have caused a lot of pain in me.
Yeah.
Plus, I
And
think
they
it's
get
cancerous.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Plus those cuts, like those phosphor cuts, they don't heal real fast.
We're getting
You
some
want-
questions from the chat. Let's see here. We have Vintage Hillbilly Shack has a doozy of a question. You can go ahead and throw that question in the chat whenever you like, and we'll get to that when we can. Retro Techie is asking you, Steve, where's your basement?
Under
Here.
my house.
Right here.
Under your house.
In a secure
Good answer.
location.
Good answer. Good answer.
Here's a very interesting question. It kind of relates to what we all do. What do we all do for a living?
As little as possible.
Yes.
Not this.
Exactly.
Not this. We'd be broke
Mm.
Take care of the farm.
Work from home and make people think I'm actually doing my job.
until you accidentally enable the camera and they see solder smoke coming up. Joe, what are you doing there?
It was pot. I promise.
Promise. I'm doing the reefer. I promise. This is not. I'm not repairing things.
It wasn't
How
me,
silly
it
of me.
was Mr. Clinton.
And there's all this crap in the background. No one would believe you.
Or it could have been,
Rudy, I've repeatedly told you that I have not done any of those illicit drugs.
Wow.
Okay, now do Tesla.
Do Tesla? Nicholas Tesla?
No.
I was like, my Russian's like really weak. Anyway, in Soviet Russia, it's this is how
He wasn't
Tesla
Russian.
sounds. My wife. I don't know. Honestly, everybody was like, he's so funny. And I'm like, it's Yakov Smirnov. We've already seen this. Anyway.
We did have a question about getting into IT stuff, I think.
We
Am I just seeing things?
We didn't answer what we all do for a living,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, sorry.
other than
I work in IT and higher education.
I found
which
it, yeah.
seems to be where a lot of people kind of end up in, like my sector of the hobby, I guess.
Ron, and when we come back around, you might be a good answer to that.
Yeah.
The question was from Angular Momentum, a real question that they say is a real question. Trying to get into IT from teaching, any suggestions? So you might be better equipped than the rest of us to answer that.
Well,
question.
it depends on what level you kind of teach at. If you're in primary, secondary ed, most schools are public schools at least, are so poorly funded that anybody that has sort of like a library science certificate or something typically ends up being the person that does IT for that school. And you might have support maybe at a district level, but they always need they're just the person that knows, and then you become that point of contact for that school, and you might do that for a little while and then move over into like the district or something doing IT maybe in a bigger way. But for me, my journey was I used to work for Southern Illinois University over in Carbondale, Illinois. Go Salukis. the way that I got in there is I just worked at like a million mom and pop computer stores, and then just kind of got to be more and more friends with educators and things, and they let me know about those opportunities. So I hate to say part of it is who you know, but much like any other opportunity in life, it largely comes down to who your base is and kind of who you know. But if you're on the teaching side and you haven't been, you're not like, I'm a 40-year educator and I'm looking to start at the bottom. If you're not one of those people, again, like start investigating like a library science certificate, and then kind of go from there. It's if you already have the IT skills, I'm working in education, you already know that it's about kind of those paper creds. So you could even do something as simple as like get an A+ certification. I not everybody's big on CompTIA. There might be people in this very chat who are not fans of that company, but it is largely still, at least in education, kind of seen as a reputable company for that you have a baseline information or baseline knowledge for whatever your specific area of expertise is. And they have some of those certificates for people that just want to be like a technician, like a support help desk, customer service, kind of that part of things. And then they have additional certificates that kind of cover like servers and networking and all that type of stuff as well. I say that as somebody that does work in higher ed and got I took a picture of it recently. I think I posted it on Twitter. I took the Macintosh test for the A+ certification the very last day that they offered it, way back in like 1998. Yeah, actually, it was funny. I got 100% on it.
Nice.
Because it's sort of like in 1998, but like all the questions on the test were like from 1995, so it was like well weathered kind of thing. And actually I walked in, took the test. There's two components. There's like a OS specification, or at the time there was, it was, you took like a basic kind of PC knowledge test, and then you can either take a specialization on Windows or Mac. And I walked in just like it was no big deal, just took the Mac side and took that PC base part, and I think they give you like 2.5 hours to take the test. I walked in and walked back out in 30 minutes, and they were like, sir, if you just need more time, it's okay. You've got plenty of time to take the test. And I was like, no, I completed it. It was all CBT. So it's like or computer-based testing. So it's like, I was like, click. And I said, I was done. I was like, can you grade it? And they were like, they graded it. And it was like, oh, you got like 98% or something on the PC hardware thing, and you got 100% on the Mac thing. And I was like, man, if I knew it was going to be like that quick, I'd have just taken the PC or the Windows side too. And they were like, we could sign you up for that real fast. And I was like, it's okay. It's like
I've already
another $128, please.
Right. Another $100. I think it was like $100 or something at the time to do that other thing. So
not cheap, those tests.
No, but yeah, CompTIA, probably a good place. There's a lot of like great stuff you could do. LinkedIn Learning. If your organization does LinkedIn Learning, see if they will give you access where you can go and do some of the PC or Macintosh related kind of training that's out there, if they'll accept that as some sort of credential. Anyway, I've talked about this a very long time, but it's get some certs if you've got the experience, and then just start knocking on doors.
Cool. I like that answer. That is excellent.
It's verbose. If I'm getting paid by the word, I'm doing great.
We had a question from Reed Reinfeld about his power supply. Why does my modern 500-watt power supply trip my breaker when I plug it in, but it doesn't trip again after I keep it plugged in, after I reset the breaker? I think I might actually have an answer to that, but Ron looks like he has an answer too, so I'll let him go ahead and chime in.
I was going to say, it's because it's a 10-amp fuse and you got a penny behind it. Which I know you're trying to be thrifty, but this is dangerous, sir. So Joe, go with the real answer.
I think Joe was going to say a nickel, but
yes. You know, just like in streams, man, whenever Ron puts in $5, I got to put in 10. So,
and I benefit.
You put in a penny, I put in 5 cents. Who's going to put in the quarter? Javier, you want to put in the quarter? No, seriously though, that's a really good question. What I'm thinking off of the top of my head. Now, keep in mind, I had an armchair self taught not degree in electrical engineering, but those power supplies have a lot of capacitors and other things on the high voltage side to smooth out the voltage, to remove a lot of the ripple before it gets into the low voltage side of the supply. A lot of those are just really high value, high voltage capacitors that can store a ton of charge in them. Those capacitors also tend to have across them a really high value resistor, like 1 megohm, 5 megohm, something like that, to discharge that capacitor before or after it's turned off, so that if you happen to touch the pins on the back of the power supply, it discharges that capacitor and you don't have a Rudy situation where you get blown through the drywall.
Yeah.
Now,
You don't end up like him.
and yes. Now, if you plug that in and it trips it only once, I'm going to step back and say they also tend to have what's called an inrush limiting resistor, or an inrush current limiting resistor, to keep that capacitor from insta-charging the moment you plug it in. It slowly brings it up to prevent that rush of current. Now, if there is something wrong with that part of the circuit, where that resistor has blown open because of some reason, or it's just poorly designed, or something like that, when you first plug that power supply in after it's not been on for a while, it's gonna dump charge that that part of the circuit, and that might cause just enough current to trip your breaker, especially if your breaker that you're using for some reason is a really fast flow breaker or something like, I don't know why. Again, armchair electrical engineer. But that would be my guess. If you would want a repair suggestion, I would suggest replace the power supply, throw that one in the trash, because if it's tripping breakers, it puts the entire construction of that power supply into question, and its quality. And
if it's a modern-ish replaceable one, it's under warranty, maybe even still.
500 watts. That's got to be like a new PC power supply or something like that.
I mean, you can put a dummy load on it too. Like, unplug all your drives, unplug from the motherboard. You can pick up on eBay for $7 or $8 one of those like generic PC or ATX power supply testers, and plug it in there, because it puts a dummy load on the power supply. And if it trips on like that tester, then yeah, there's absolutely something going on inside the power supply, and there's nothing in there except for pissed off pixies. I would just find a new one. You know, it's you've done your best. That's $7. That's all the testing you need.
Yeah, they're not special or vintage or anything. You can get really quality 500-watt power supplies for $40.
Yep.
Now, if this was a 500-watt power supply for like an ATX, like an AMD Barton or something like that, where it was like from a very specific era, and it's maybe got like, because like the Bartons and the Athlons and all that type of, or the early Athlon XP and all those require like high amperage on the 5-volt line. If it's something like that, then yeah, it might be worth actually taking it somewhere and getting it repaired, or really doing some additional like testing to figure that out. But yeah, if it's just like, oh yeah, it came with my e-machine, yeah, just get another one.
And Reed's saying that it's a brand name PSU out of warranty, and it's done that since you bought it.
Okay.
Yeah, I would.
Not a good thing.
Would be my suggestion, being a PC power supply coming from the PC world. When the power supply does stuff, you chuck the thing in the bin or recycle it and get a new power supply. There's no, you can sit there smacking your head against the wall trying to fix it. But in those cases, they're so commodity. When they say there's no user serviceable parts inside, what they mean is it's not worth your time. I would just move on.
Right.
I mean, if you want to keep it around as an emergency supply or something, like, I've got a bunch up there on my bed, on my rack back there, you could do that, but I would just swap it.
You could keep it for another 40 years and come back on this channel and we'll fix it.
Yeah, there you go.
Then it's retro,
to
and then
be
we
right.
have to retro,
right?
So yeah.
This Inland Band power supply, it's been with me for a decade. I really gotta fix it.
So somebody was saying that who was it? where was it? Where was it? So, there's a really funny comment about your Pixies. They're
Oh yeah, Eric Miller said "Pissed Off Pixies" is the name of his
Yeah.
next band.
yes,
So,
exactly.
I can't remember who got me started on it. It's probably like AVE or something. It's like all
Yeah,
the Mad
Ave.
Pixies
Yeah.
and whatever the devices are. Yeah,
Angry Pixies. Yes,
Angry
that's the term he
Pixies.
uses.
Yeah.
hmm So Vintage Hillbilly Shack is asking a question that I do not know the answer to. Maybe you guys do. Is there a modern replacement for a 26-pin MFM hard drive?
Yes. And it was just actually recently there was an article about it that I saw. I don't know if it was Hackaday or where it was, but yeah, there's actually a card now, 16-bit ISA card that replaces either your MFM or RLL drives. Or it's I guess it's like an in-slot card, and then basically it has like a place for compact flash or whatever, and you just run the cables over to it, and it basically just does all the emulation. I will have to find a link for that.
Yeah, if you find that link,
um,
let me know. I can pop that in the chat for him.
I think Adrian's Digital Basement dude did a video on that not too long ago. So if you want to go to his channel, take a look. But yeah.
Cool. Well, that was a quick answer.
Yeah.
Next.
Do
would
nursing
almost say-
homes have enough power for our machines?
No.
No.
I'll tell you later. Now get off my lawn.
Steve, we've told you once, we've told you 1,000 times, you're limited to 7 Emacs turning on at the same time.
Right.
Can't take one more.
Sinister Pisces in the
Ah.
chat says, "Yeah, I remember that," and he agrees with you, Rudy, that it was an Adrian video. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's so much of this stuff to consume and digest and name drop. It's after a while, it gets really, really tough to remember. It's like, where did I see
Yeah.
that thing? It was a mouse emulator, but it was, it was,
Oh,
You
the
know,
hard
if you
drive's on a
saw
laptop. Oof.
Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
good luck.
If you don't
Yeah.
remember, you can always come back to this channel and watch the old episodes.
That's replacing the MFM in your laptop, though. That sounds like a great project for a miniaturization, where if that can be properly reconfigured or designed in a smaller format, like has happened with these SCSI 2 SDs, for example. That would be a cool thing. So the upside there, Vintage Hillbilly Shack. I love your username, by the way. You're perfect for this channel. Retro Repair
right.
Roundup, Hillbilly Shack. Woo! No, seriously. I'm from Ohio. They're like that around here. So the upside is that the technology has been there. It's been developed. The trick is, can we get enough interest in the community to go back to the people who developed that technology and be like, hey, now can we get this format?
I think the real question on this vintage hillbilly shack thing, though, is where would you find an MFM hard drive small enough for a laptop? I'm thinking luggable. Is this really like a compact luggable or an AST or something like that? Because if that's the case, and this is like even a half height 3.5-inch drive or something like that, there's a lot of solutions for those machines. Like if it's a luggable, you do have at least an 8-bit ISA slot floating around in there. I mean, you could get like the XT IDE or something like that would give you a modern replacement that would probably not be just like kicking the crotch of that power supply and that luggable every time you turn it on.
And I don't know what type of ports that machine may have, but I was able to pick up. It was a parallel hard drive, so I don't know if that is too old to have a parallel port on it, but I was able to pick one of those up. I mean, I guess you have to boot it with a floppy with the drivers and configure it and all that. All that stuff is Greek to me. I don't know, but
Or just yank everything out, put a Raspberry Pi, and off you go.
That's right.
It works.
Works for me.
Wow, that's interesting.
Sorry,
guys, I'm down the rabbit hole, guys. Hold on.
8 hours later.
I'm trying to get that Sinister Pisces' link he or she tried to drop into the chat there as a full link, but I'm having problems on my end because I'm stupid.
Oh, come on, Joe.
Well,
So it does have a printer port. Yeah.
half a brain is all you need, Joe.
The lonely neuron.
Ah, man. It's hard only working with 8 bits, I tell you.
Y'all got 8? Oh, geez.
I got one. I'm on or I'm off. Click. Just cannot post it. Yeah, Starbuck Tech. I'm trying to get the link there for you from the admin side. I'm just not seeing you post the link, probably because admin YouTube reasons, and it's eating your link. And I got the V portion, but I'm having problems constructing the link on my end again because I'm stupid. So if I can get it,
I think I got it.
Did you put www?
You have to do watch equals or whatever. I got it. I'll put it in the private chat there, Joe. There you go. And now you can grab it from there.
So are you in Europe? Do you need
Got
do you need like an adapter? Did you turn the disc 18 degrees to the left? I'm checking the most common sort
We
of
are
thing.
giving such useful information here.
Is it plugged in?
Conversion technology. Oh wait, that Ken's not here. That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, coming up on about 90 minutes here. Does anybody have any other quick questions they want answered? I'll iterate with quick before we start to wrap things up for the evening.
I think this is a pretty quick question that we could cover. Eric asks, how do you feel about repainting vintage cases? I will say that I worry about fixing the internals before I make the externals look pretty. I'm not against retro brighting or painting or tidying up anything, but I have not had the luxury of worrying about that stuff just yet. Let's just say that.
You also, the part of the world you live in there, Steve, even if you wanted to retrobrite something, you never get enough sunlight to do it anyway. So,
oh yeah, no. So
we have Javier here, who is the master of retrobrite, who is very opinionated on this subject.
Add another 30 minutes to the clock.
Yeah.
At least.
Turns out he's actually against it. He's just in it for the money.
That's sweet retrobrite money.
Yeah, he's got like a xanthan gum mine out somewhere.
There you go. I'm kind of either side of that. It depends on the situation in my case. If I already have, personally, if I've got something that I have multiple of and something is really, really badly yellowed, I'll tend to go to retrobrite it. But I'll only go for paint if it's like just absolutely destroyed for some reason and I'm wanting it to simply look nice. Most of the time, though, personally, I'll just leave it alone.
Yeah, it looks like Eric's saying it's way too far gone for retrobrite, so that seems to be that scenario.
Yeah, and of course, Javier, these guys also do retro blacking. So
stop showing off. I want one now. Give it to me.
Yeah, if it's in the case of being way too far for retrobrite, then I think that it becomes more of a what does that actual
the problem
machine
is
itself
this
mean
one
to
was completely gone, and the other parts are also broken. So this was so bad that it was almost thrown away. So
and it's yours. You can do whatever the heck you want with it. You know,
exactly.
And that's it. Yeah.
People give you a hard time saying, "Oh, you're ruining the case." It's like, so what? It's yours. Do what you like, right?
There's 20 of them over there.
I did a similar thing on my Commodore. It's coming out. My Commodore 64.
Oh, nice.
The plastic was so bad that even looking at it would just fall apart. It was just, I had cracks and damages all over. It's like someone sitting there going, "No, it doesn't play the Apple game," and just totally destroyed it. But then I just decided to paint it and just try it out.
Yeah,
and
fix it, sand it and paint it.
Yeah, I used a bit of body carbondo to get the parts fixed, and then I took it and turned it into my test rig.
Nice.
So I have ZIF sockets and all the main chips, and then I use that to help troubleshoot when I'm doing stuff. But that's another story. But
sometimes a curse is a blessing in that way. So
that's the thing. Like this thing was nobody wanted because it was like, oh, it's crap, it's all broken. Some people have already tried to fix it, Like there's so much Bondo on this thing, you can make a car.
No, the problem I have with retrobrite is not, well, it's not retrobrite, is that people blame retrobrite to their failures. And they say, oh, it was retrobrite what caused this. No, it's because you didn't do it right, and now you try to blame it on something else.
Right. It's like that lady who made that Marie Callender pumpkin pie recently, just like immolated it and was like, I can't believe you ruined our Thanksgiving because I didn't read the back of the box.
Because I set the oven to Mustafar, yeah.
Right. Like, I hate you, Obi-Wan! The whole time that pie was cooking.
Folks are asking questions too about paint. What paint colors are good for painting some of these things? That obviously is going to depend on the specific.
It's the color of that SE30 that Joe and I did that collaboration on that people hated. I mean, like, there's a bunch of A's in how much hate people had for that video, and it was, they blamed me because they were like, how could you do this to that machine? First of all, I didn't do anything to these machines. This was some photographer was like, oh, won't these look great in the back of graduation photos, and spray painted them. So it was like, I didn't do anything other than like take it apart and send that part to Joe. And then somebody was like, how could you do this? You should just use citrus strip to like strip the paint off. And I was like, I got nothing to lose, and just in likes and clicks to earn. And so so melted it a little bit. And then people were mad about that. I was like, there is no pleasing.
The first rule of YouTube is you cannot please anybody on YouTube.
No. Right. Do what you want to do, and if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they dislike it, and you still get the engagement.
So now I am part of a class action lawsuit against my channel for all of the watch hours that video has returned. You should read some of the briefs on this. It was like, my last 10 minutes I could have been spending with my elderly grandfather was wasted.
This free content that I got was just terrible. I want my free money back.
Yes. How dare you entertain me?
Yeah.
Do you guys use primer first before you do painting, or you just paint it?
I just get a roller.
Right on the CRT.
And do you airbrush it, or are you using spray paint? How are you doing it?
Spray.
I
use spray, and then I put a cover on it.
Like a clear coat type of, like a
coat.
lacquer or urethane or what?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Michael Mulhern says we should use Pantone 130630TN Safety Yellow. You will never lose that. We should get a can of that and send that to Steve so he never loses his floppy email.
Oh my god!
No. I'll just wear it around like a necklace. This extra.
There you go.
That's right.
Somebody was asking about those
games,
colors.
It's going to have to get like one of those little Apple trackers and paint that like safety yellow, and then
I can't see anything else.
Somebody was asking about the different Pantone colors for the Macs, and of course, those colors are going to depend on which Mac it is. Whether it's the older, more beigey Mac or the newer, more gray, what's called the platinum design. I'm actually working on trying to figure that out for the platinum design, as you can see right here, and from some videos that I've been working on doing the Mystic upgrades for Color Classics. And we got several people in our host list right now who are like, Joe, can you ship me one of those? And I can tell you, I got your panels done, guys. So yeah, Steve, yours is actually in the mail upstairs right now, ready to go out. I'm
bribing you paid off.
Chrome it.
Chrome it. That would be, dude. You could have your own MDD, your own mirror drive door.
MBD, mirror back door.
There you go.
Since he's not here to defend himself, I bought an LCD for like one of my Apple IIs from Javier, and I was like, it's black, and I was like, well, what color should I paint it? And he goes, don't worry, I'm going to include some paint in the box. He literally sent me a jar of whiteout.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh wow.
I would have said
So-
crayons, but
9 hours later, I got a whole inch done. It's amazing. Looks great.
wow.
Oh boy.
But that color, the color, I'm sorry to keep being the boring guy, but the
It's
color
kind of your
that I found,
superpower, Joe. So
yeah, I know. I'm
That's
just
your
I'm
superpower,
like
yeah.
the hyper nerd, and I don't know how to socialize with people. So I'm just like, talk about the facts. Seriously though, I actually ordered a couple different paint chips, specially painted on plastic. From Pantone, and if you guys ever need to do that, I suggest you you use your firstborn child as
Save your money.
yeah, because it's like $20 per chip. But anyway,
Ooh.
to do color matching, so that I can then order 3D filament that exactly matches, say, the color classic, for example, and hopefully that'll come in, and then I'll be able to answer that question on a future stream. But that entire process it's not a cheap process, but hopefully if I can figure that out, then that's something that I can kind of get out there to the community and say, oh, so this is the exact Pantone code that you want. And as an aside on that filament, the company that makes it's called Fiber Force or something like that, and you can get it through Matter Hackers.
that's the cereal my grandparents used to eat.
Fiber Force, Horkin fiber chunks.
Oh man.
But once I get that, if I end up getting that, they will then start actually mass producing it, and then you can just go out and buy it. So that's my weird little contribution I'm trying to do, because there's not a color out there right now that perfectly matches the Mac unless you want to paint it. So if I can get that, then there you go.
You could bring it to an auto body shop where they use a scan and they scan the paint and they can match the color even with fade and et cetera, if you wanted to. But
Shall I, Joe?
Yes, please.
uh-oh.
Javier's been my partner in crime in this. He has one of those things because he works in pre-press and design, so he has to do color matching.
Yep.
So
I know color. So you get a colorimeter, and then you put it wherever it is, and it will tell you the color, either RGB or paint.
Nice.
But it doesn't give you Pantone.
So
And
I
those
had
are
to take
free
that
from your
RGB and then give it to some like 2 or 3 different websites, and then it converted it to Pantone for me. So then now that I have that, then I can do the blah 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 blah, blah everything Eric said. So hopefully that'll be a thing.
Cool.
So you're giving those away for free, right?
Fifth subscriber in the chat right now.
JCM-1.com for your prices. But yeah. So hopefully at some point we'll be able to do that for people. So we're coming up on an hour and 43 minutes. Wow, that's pretty good for a first time episode. I think we should probably kind of roll things up here a little bit. Anything
Wrangle it up
before we round up the wagons and go off to the yonder for the evening?
How about we each give our own individual channels a plug, tell the nice people where they can find us, and
absolutely. Steve, you go first since you are our guest.
Pooh. Okay, so
I'm not ready yet.
You could find me on Instagram and Twitter. My handle is Mac84 TV, as in television. And on YouTube, I'm youtube.com/Mac84. And then there's always Mac84.net. I don't really plan my live streams, but there's tons of content in 8-hour streams. If you're really bored over the upcoming holiday and stuff like that, you just put on a few monitors, click subscribe on all your shadow accounts. I won't tell anybody.
It would be the retro. That 8-hour stream is like the retro version of the Yule log.
There you go. And I actually do like New Year's countdowns with like the old screen sharing type thing. So and everyone always asks me where they can get these shirts. Mac84.net, there's a link for them. So there you go.
Perfect.
That's my spiel.
Ron, you were
What
looking
now?
off into space. I had to get your attention.
Oh, I was just thinking about Steve's wonderful merch store.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
And actually, I am not saying that this will work for everybody, but I have had the best luck on like pickups when I wear my Mac 84 shirt. And I am not joking that yesterday I went and did a huge pickup. Or maybe was it yesterday? Yeah, it sure seems like yesterday. I did a huge pickup of like a bunch of classic Macs and things like that, and I've got to go back again. So there's that much stuff, and I owe it all to Steve's shirt.
Well, I'm still
getting a 50% commission on this, right? Okay.
Just because of that, I'm going to add a coupon there. If you use the word Roundup, you'll get a discount.
Wow.
My store. There you go.
Nice. Well, all of my stuff, I'm Ron at Ron's Computer Videos. I do a lot of Macintosh content. I mean, it's it's a lot of Macintosh. Oh,
Bless
yeah.
you.
I was about to, pardon me, like a sneezingly amount of Macintosh content, but Apple II, some PC stuff here and there. But you can check me out. It's Ron Comp Vids at the Twitters. And then you can probably see what else I'm doing from there.
Cool. Rudy.
Rudy's Retro Intel. Just Google it on YouTube and you'll find me. I don't have anything else. Email. I have an email on there. You can email me directly. BBS, but I don't have a phone, so don't worry about the BBS.
Literally smoke signals, people.
Yeah. I've had a lot of headaches with a lot of the modern stuff, the Twitters and the Facebooks and all that. So I'm kind of like,
So
I can't be
Rudy
bothered.
truly is retro.
Definitely.
Javier.
I am at YouTube Havmaster, JAV Master, and then on Twitter I am Havmaster with the last E as a number 3 because I think it was taken. So,
How dare they?
I am. Yeah,
They should
and
have
that's
known.
it.
And I am Joe Strohsnyder of Joe's Computer Museum on the YubTubs. Just put /C/Joe's Computer Museum or look on it on the search and you'll find me there. I also have a website, jcm-1.com, where I sell t-shirts and stuff, but mine aren't as cool as Steve's nor anywhere near as well as designed as Javier's, but I have some stuff on there. And I also sell little trinkets and things like replacement keyboard encoders for Apple IIs and replacement. I'm starting to work on replacement parts for the much maligned and underloved Apple III because this poor old thing needs love and it needs replacement parts, and I aim to fix that problem.
He also has a 50% discount this month only on Haunted Orphan Souls. So stock up.
Stocked up. Now they're discounted.
I'm not saying that they're going to increase in value, but they are going to be the next monkey gifts as a alternative currency when society collapses.
Yes.
So.
And I mean, there are more of those out there than there are Apple III, so it's obvious the market to get into.
Oh boy,
it can only
Apple
go up.
III has no fans. Exactly. Funny, Michael.
Ooh.
Oh boy, that's
a nice depressing way to end the stream.
Yeah.
Well, that is our Retro Repair Roundup, our first episode. I think it was a hit. I hope you all will wander on back in here. And next time, which will probably be in a couple weeks, we will let you all know. If you're subscribed, you'll get the notification and you'll know where it is. And we'll all of us on all the social medias will tweet it out and let you know. Again, thanks for stopping by and have a great evening. See you, partners.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
We have really locked ourselves in with this Western thing, haven't we?